Fix my fluffy hair.
There we go. We are recording. How are you, Rosanne? How are you?
I'm wonderful. Lovely. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing fantastic. Just a little disclaimer. Both of us are in very noisy areas. So if you do hear trains, construction, motorcycles, we do apologize. We don't have a perfect studio, but we wanted to get the message out there and talk about all the great stuff, especially your stuff. I'm so fascinated with what you do. That quantum healing, the hypnosis looks fantastic, but also with the inner child. That, struck me a chord, like that is so necessary, is that inner child. But before we get started, can you just introduce yourself to the audience that's listening to this on the podcast, please?
Absolutely. So thank you again, once again, for inviting me. And it's a pleasure and an honor always. And I love being able to share what I do. And for many years, I kind of kept it on the down low or in the spiritual closet, we'll say. And as Michael and I were just discussing I call it source consciousness or, the divine. They said, you just have to deliver. Like it's going to be channeled anyway. So get out of your human, concerns and just do it. And so my name is Rosanne Grace, and I am a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, holistic coach, is where I started, and inner child is been the baseline of all the work I do. And so that is not something they teach or certify in the quantum healing hypnosis work from Dolores Cannon's Institute. It is something that has been part of my own healing journey for the past decade or so. And I incorporate that in all of my sessions. So it doesn't matter if clients want a galactic activation, soul integration, light worker, clearing, healing, hypnosis, it's going to be the inner child included. Because what I found with the inner child is, I call them like the bouncer at the club. You want to get in, you have to go through them. So they have the key to the kingdom, I say, Michael. So you're not going to get past their gates. And they really are our divine guidance. And I do have a lot of clients who are like, who are the guides you talk to, or who are you speaking with? And I said, well, first and foremost, I'm speaking to your inner child, because it doesn't really matter if great. I love the angelics and the star families and the galactics. And I do speak to all of them as well, but we first have to go through your inner child, because if they're not happy, they're not going to allow you to bypass them. It is a form of spiritual bypassing. And I'm sure you're aware of that with, the work that we do.
Yes, so true. Like that spiritual bypass, so many people are in it, because of the nature of the work we do. People use spirituality as an escapism. They kind of use it as, they just kind of like, hey, everything's okay. Meanwhile, inside, it's just like, they're just, the inner child is just raging and stuff like that. And that, when I saw that, it's like, finally, somebody is doing inner child work and putting it out there. Cause I probably think it's the most important thing that somebody can do for themselves on their healing journey. If you want to start healing, I mean, literally, really healing, you got to get in that inner child. And I've been working with my inner child for a long time. And I know the benefits. I didn't know what an inner child was until I started doing actual real therapy, getting into it. And people just got me, what's inner child? All that good stuff. But I really want to get into the quantum
healing hypnosis.
Yes, the healing hypnosis. Now, you said this was through Dolores Cannon's thing. I didn't. I love her. The Convoluted Universe. I love that. I think that's a fantastic series of books. Love those.
Oh yes, any in all of her books. Yeah, I was surprised when she first came to me. It was actually 2 months after she had transitioned, and I had not heard of her. And then she started visiting me in dreams, and I was like, "Who's this woman?"
Reiki.
And I know, it was amazing, but that's how most of my information comes in. I'll receive it, and then I'll get the confirmation or the validation through some kind of written form or documentary or video or something for the confirmation. And she actually showed me the last Convoluted Universe and her daughter had ended up publishing it after her passing, and she showed me the cover of it a couple months after I started reading all of her books religiously. And I remember in the dream, Michael, I was like, Dolores, you're crazy. You did. How are you publishing a book? And her daughter Julia ended up publishing her her final work. It wasn't, those convoluted universe books are
thick. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one was, maybe a third of that size. And that was some of her incomplete work. So I was grateful to receive that. So I do receive a lot in my dream state, in my channeled state. I feel like I'm more in a constant state of meditation, because I'm constantly talking to source, or my I am presence, or the various levels of those I am presences, because there is many.
Yes.
And so, yes, she found me. I didn't know anything about her.
Wow.
But when I read her bio, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I had already been doing inner child work. I'd already been talking to source. I wanted the story behind the story. Like, I could get to the root cause of anything in your human story, but I knew there was more. I knew there was imprints, there was residues, sometimes contracts, vows, different things from other lives. And also my own questioning. I wanted, our humans love answers. I wanted more insight.
Give me more.
Always. That rabbit hole is endless. So yes. And so I remember crying when I read the end of her bio and it said she transitioned. I was like, how could you take her from me? Like, I'm supposed to work with this woman. And then I stopped crying and I said, okay, if I can't work with her in the physical, I'll work with her any way I can. So I ordered every single one of her books. I think she wrote like 20 some books. And I disappeared for like 3 months and I binge read everything. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. With so many confirmations. And she kind of introduced me to, with her like star seed and those, the seeding of the planet and stuff like that. So she introduced me more into the galactics as well, which was not something that was really on my radar. And then they started visiting. And so a lot progressed rapidly once she said, you're supposed to be doing this work. And I was looking for practitioners because I wanted my own sessions. I wanted to get my own answers. And then she's like, this is, you need to be doing this. So yeah, that was 2014, I believe. And so I incorporated that into my repertoire, my modalities that I share with my clients when they're ready. Because obviously I do have clients that come in specifically for inner child work and light work or activation work. And then those that have been following Dolores also find me on her websites, and they maybe aren't familiar with inner child. And like I said, they don't segue into that as much in the hypnosis. They keep it, very standard the way Dolores taught it. And so I started incorporating that, and I found the hypnosis was far deeper and more powerful for my clients because their inner child's needs were met first. And like I said, they are the bridge or that gateway. And last year, yes, I was visited by my own inner child in a dream, and she said, I'm done with all the stories, thank you. And wow. I just bawling, and she bounced out and went running down this little dirt path playing with other kids, and she was gone. Because I would teach my clients also to speak to their inner child like that child's with you everywhere you go. And
because it is.
It really is.
It really is.
All day. They're watching, listening, hearing, feeling everything that you are. And if you're not actively participating with them, they'll interrupt you just like a regular child would. Look at me, pay attention to me, look at.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're open to it, what I'm getting is I would be honored to speak to your inner child if you would like to dialogue on your podcast.
Ooh, geez, you're going to make me try to get really vulnerable on the podcast.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if I was ready for this.
I know.
You know what? I'm scared as shit, to be honest with you. Because
this is
again,
the most graceful way. I promise you, it's the most graceful way. You do not have to visit traumas. I tell my clients, this is only about liberating them, because the stories, as you know, Michael, aren't real anyway.
Yeah,
All is
that's
an
true.
illusion.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
is
just liberating them of those stories that we've allowed them to carry for not just this lifetime, but for many lifetimes.
many, many lifetimes. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things I loved about therapy. It was like one-on-one in a closed room. And but you know what? Since I've been doing this work, it's like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to say fuck it.
That's all right.
And you just got to go
Exactly.
do it. But yeah, absolutely.
I
I would
love
be
it.
so humbled. Like, you know, it's because I was very interested in your work, and it's like, man, inner child work is like the bomb, because it was when you have that liberation, that energy,
Yes.
and because you basically, your subconscious is basically, you know, you're filtering your life through that little child's eyes, that wounded
Yes.
child. And that was
Yeah.
basically my story. It was basically that wounded child. And that's how I saw the world. And it's
Yes.
still there once in a while. So
Absolutely.
when you talk about that, and it's like somebody's doing inner child work, so I'm just going to promote the shit out of you, because that is quintessentially, I think, for the most people, I know even my own story is like, once you start healing that, and that liberation of that energy,
Yes.
that frequency. And again, you talk about not even just this lifetime, which is, you know, it's really super important, of course, because we carry the trauma or whatever happened in that particular time
Sure.
in this lifetime, which is but there's also those little aspects that we don't see, that fractal part of ourselves that's, you know, that's still not whole yet. And if you start healing that, those little pieces start bringing back together, and that's when you develop that wholeness. And then that's when life starts good. And then you start smiling like this young lady right here. You know what I mean? You get that smile. And
Thank you.
that's that childlike smile that I think we're
Yes.
all missing.
It's returning all parts of yourself to innocence, is
Yeah.
what I say. So you are, and it is a soul integration, because you are calling all of those pieces and parts home, those parts that you and we all had to leave behind in order to survive. So I say there's never any shame, there's never any judgment. Everything that you had to go through as a little boy, Michael, in order to survive was absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be sitting here right now telling your story, doing what you do, if it wasn't for him. If anything, you bow at his feet. I don't care if he had to be a little brat, he had to be invisible, he had to be a rebellion, whatever he had to do was absolutely necessary. But
Wow.
now as adults, we go back. It's like time traveling. It's like, thank you for doing that. I made it. We made it. And now I get to liberate you of those stories, those programs. And what they showed me also last year as a multidimensional coach, it started getting even deeper than this lifetime and other lifetimes that these programs have been carried. What they were showing me was, you know, this clears lineage, this clears ancestry, this clears the corrupted code in the human code, in the matrix code. So this goes across, this is, as I say, it's all energy. So you heal this aspect or this point of consciousness, it heals throughout. And a lot, and what I've noticed too, because specific people obviously are sent to me, not, I say this work is for everybody, Michael, not everyone's ready for this work, as you know. It
Yes,
can,
that is true. Yes.
it can be a lot. And so wherever the client is, that's where I meet them. I honor and I respect where everyone else is on their journey. And so even though I can hear or I understand or I'm in tune with what they have experienced or gone through, if they're not ready to speak of that or touch upon it, that's not my call. That is the divine's call. That's their inner child's call. But their inner child is always ready. The inner child's always like, I'm right here. Like,
Yes. Yes.
pay attention to me. And they,
Yeah.
and once a client gives me permission to speak to their inner child knows that I'm like their ambassador. They'll come to me even if I'm not with a client, and I'll be brushing my teeth and I'll hear, you know, there's little Sally talking to me and she's like, can you tell? So, and I'm like, oh, okay. So once that, I don't go around just reading for people. I
Mm.
always ask permission. But when
Mm.
the inner child knows that someone's paying attention, that's all our children want, is love and attention. Absolutely. And like I said, once you liberate them, Michael, they liberate you. That's the only way. And then you really have access to your gifts. You want to connect more with the divine. You want to have your superpowers, you know, return to you. That's the job. You take care of them,
Wow.
they'll take care of you. Yeah,
That is,
I didn't have all this access. I had to do the work, and then
well,
it just
then it
came.
comes. I hear
Yeah.
that so often, you know, over my travels over the years and stuff like that. And when you liberate that child, like your gifts, like I've been told that for years. It's like, Michael, I said, you got your gifts. You're pretty strong. Your gifts are pretty good. You want to hang on. You only want that, you know, to kind of take it to the next level, like
Yes.
supercharge. We're
Yes.
talking divine connection, stuff like that, freak you right out. This is the work you got to do. You got to get in there and do it.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So
And yeah, really trusting them so they can trust you, because like I said, we had to separate that from them at some point in order to be, you know, big boys and girls. Like, this is how we survive. This is how we fit in. This is how we belong or get our needs met. And they played along with it because it was necessary. And you couldn't be this big, shiny, bright star in your family that wasn't ready for that. So you had to kind of compromise little Michael and um, dim him a little bit so he was accepted. But then we repeat those patterns with our friends at school and our teachers and our employees and our bosses and our associates, our relationships, our intimate relationships. And as an adult, you're like, your inner child's like, I'm tired of doing this. Stop. I don't want to play this anymore. You don't have to do it this way. But it's like, you know, it's also letting them know it was necessary at that time. It's not necessary anymore. And that's where the liberation comes in, because your little child, your inner child, little Michael, sees you as the ultimate mother, father, God, goddess. Whatever you say goes. If you're telling him he's amazing, he's wonderful, he lights up and he's the superstar. He believes it. You tell him he's not good enough, that's not good enough, this is, you know, wrong. He believes that too.
yeah, there's
That's
no filter. Yeah, there's yeah.
no, they're pure. And so whatever we say goes. Even if they don't like it, they'll compromise because we say so, but there'll be repercussions. And so I say, we all will be interrupted at some level. And my inner child blew my world up so I could pay attention to her. But it was also the gift in her, through her liberation and her liberating me, I was allowed these gifts. So it's all necessary. It's
Yeah.
just we can do it in a proactive way, more graceful way, or we can do it kicking and screaming, and we're still gonna be interrupted. So we might as well.
Yeah, it's just going to continue on until we croak, you know, unless you got to
Yeah,
fix it now, because it's going to follow us. Because if you think about it, when you
yeah,
talk about the patterns, and that's why it's like interesting with the quantum aspect, you know, time, space, everything is just, you know, it's all interconnected. I mean, there's no time space, like everything just
no,
happens. So the past, the present, the future are all happening at the same time. So if you clear one,
yes,
it makes sense that you're going to clear everything else
yeah,
too, especially with that family history. Like, and that's one of the things with this work, I realize the programming in my family and, you know, it's
yes.
unbelievable. Like
It's deep, and that's why
it,
you chose those souls to participate with and play the roles of, you know, family, because we all have the opportunity, but we didn't know we even had the option. And those generations definitely didn't have this awareness. Plus, you also have the, you know, those universal energies coming in to help with the expanded consciousness or the raising of our consciousness. But we were the ones that came in and said, no, I'll interrupt this. I'll do this work. I can't tell you how many times I've seen ancestors and just all waiting there, like, please. I'm like, back off, people. Like, I got it. Like, it's a lot of pressure. But somebody had to step up and do it, Michael. And so thank you for being that soul. And again, it is all one. It is all energy. It is all connected. And so even though that version of us because once I visited the all consciousness, there is no separation. It really is all one. And so it's like, yeah, that version of me I call Michael, or that version of me I call mom and dad. We're healing for all of it, all of it. And what can I share that? Yes. Okay. So last night, what I was seeing was, it almost looked like puzzle pieces, and it was interesting. It looked like the earth, almost like a map of the earth, but just like different sections. And I could see like more of a darker color, a lighter color, a grayer color, a brighter color. And when I saw it, these pieces started overlapping. I said, oh, that's kind of how I describe dimensions. And I was like, oh, it's also collapsing dimensions. We are um, they don't like the word reset, because they said resetting a computer sets it back to factory settings. We're not resetting. We are wiping clean. We are starting new. Yes. And so I've been guided to do that. I have my work with clients, and I have like the behind the scenes work for the divine.
Yeah.
And so they're like, this is what we're asking you to do. I'm like, okay. So that is work that I've been doing, is collapsing those dimensional gaps, or even the illusion of dimensions, but we're getting too far ahead. So let's go back to the inner child.
No, that's no problem, because, you know, it's so fascinating. The work, it all makes sense, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, if you didn't really do this inner child work, you wouldn't have access to that. And this is some of the stuff that in the information, and this is part of the reason why I developed this channel, is to provide information. So like there's no little box where I put myself in, because all this information is really necessary, and it's getting more and more frequency. The more people I meet, people are talking about this and understanding about this, but then there's that aspect of them that don't really kind of get it. But the idea with collapsing time frames, portals, all that, the galactic influences, I just talked to a friend of mine about that, and she was educating me on that. And it's fantastic. And I just think, you know, because they always talked about the time right now is the most important time we have came into this incarnation at this particular time, is so important, because we got to just bring up that evolution of consciousness. It's just that it's this is what all this craziness is happening. We got to just elevate it up. So it's, you know, if you go down that rabbit hole a bit, and you go, because I can see you off, like you're like partly here, and then but you're also here, because I can see it's energy, because of the background. I can actually see the energy in the background of your aura. So like your aura starts kind of when you're here, and then when you go off, it gets bigger and it contracts. And it was just like going, I'm just kind of listening while looking at that while you're talking. It's like, okay, she's not here. She's partly here. She's in her body, but now she's out of her body, you know, so.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in multi dimensions most of the time. Yes. Ask my husband. He's like, I bless him. He's had many lives with me, but he's not, as attuned to this, though he has seen me, he's seen entities fly across the room. Like he's seen me clear stuff. I mean, I do all kinds of things. And so you're right. It's hard to, for our human to try and, you know, encapsulate it into one definition, because I work for the divine, I say, and I gave myself over to the divine and my ego and my human years ago. So if they say you're going to go to Europe or Japan and you're going to clear this, that's what I did. And that's most of last year. This year, they're like, now people are ready. Now you can start teaching what you do. I just held sessions for clients all these years until this year. Now these sessions are definitely more behind the scenes, more teaching. This is what they taught me. And most of my teachings came from the astral. I did work with a lot, like I said, Dolores Cannon and beautiful teachers and instructors over many years. But even my own teachers were like, there's nothing we can teach you.
You're on your own path.
They're all out here. Yeah, you're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. Yeah. Well, it's just fantastic. I mean, you know, you were talking about channeling my inner child. If you want to do that, I would be so honored. You know, I was a little hesitant. I'm still a little hesitant because again, it's going to make me super vulnerable in this platform. But you know what? If somebody's listening to it, especially you guys out there too, as well. And again, this is really important about us guys. We sometimes get the short end of the stick a lot of times, and there seems to be this impasse of how men are supposed to be, and this new evolution of being a man. And if this is going to help you guys to kind of get over that hump and heal yourself, you know, I'm going to kind of put it out there for you. So
thank you.
I'll be the good advice. So all right.
Thank you.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
To all of those little boys and young men, because it's not just your inner child. Like your inner child is all ages. When's the last time you talked to 18-year-old Michael? I mean, 25-year-old Michael. They all still need you. They all want you. And thank you again for this platform, Michael. Thank you again for being that divine masculine to show the way for other divine masculines to step into their role. Because we have to join both. You know, I was very masculine. I wasn't very good at being in my feminine. I ran multi-million-dollar businesses. Like I didn't do well in my feminine. And that's where my true gifts, my true power came from. And when you integrate that inner child, that is all aspects. That's the divine mother, father, God, goddess, like I said, and we all possess it, and we all get to return those back, like you said, to wholeness. So thank you for your permission.
No problem.
Thank you, little Michael. May I speak to little Michael? I ask only to speak to little Michael now. Anything that needs to be cleared? Yes. Okay. Okay. So he's always right, never wrong, by the way. So I always defer to him. And he is saying, yes, we need to do a clearing. So there is some interference. And I remove implants, trackers, devices, all of the above. He's like, yes, cleared out. Okay, hold on. We're going to just do a quick clearing for Michael, his energy field, because now that you are on the radar, I say most of my light workers will have some kind of device, some kind of, I'll say the more light you can hold, the more the dark's aware of you. So they'll send out their own interfering currents, frequencies, vibrations to throw you off, trigger you, piss you off, bring you down, depress you. And it feels like Michael's, emotion or ego talking. And it's more of a flare up and that's another reason why inner child work is so important, because if there's unhealed traumas or stories in the subconscious, the dark will use that as leverage against you because they're afraid of your power, basically. So
yeah, it makes total sense.
So let me just do a quick clearing you want to go easy on him? Okay, let's go easy on him. Since he's doing this publicly for everybody, thank you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
He knows what level you're ready for, and because they're always ready to go deep, right? But
yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's beautiful. Thank you. He's kind of cheeky too. I love it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's always right. And that was another thing too. Once several years ago, once I had crossed a threshold of enough healing with my own inner child, one of the gifts that came with that was I could see other people's inner children. I could already hear them because I'm clairaudient, but then they would show up. So he's always on my left. They're always on my left. So I see them. And so he's bringing up school, 5 years old. I'm also muscle testing too, I like that. That confirmation through the physical. So
yeah, you're on track already.
Yeah. So 5 years old. So that would be like kindergarten-ish. Mm-hmm. And he's bringing up peers and he didn't feel safe and secure. So there was definitely, I don't know if it was a bully at school or just being intimidated being in a school environment away from home. But yeah. And like I said, you don't have to go through the event unless you want to share for the audience. It's more about you liberating him.
Yeah, there's definitely, there was some abuse and that was a very traumatic period in my life. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely that. Yeah. So that kindergarten to 6, 7. Yeah. Those are real tough years. Yeah.
And that is traumatic especially for a child that age. I mean, for any age, nobody wants to be mistreated or hurt or scared or intimidated. And he felt all of that. And so I'm going to ask you to visualize what he looked like at 5. Can you see
already right now?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Oh yeah, you don't even know. And there is, let me see, do you want to do that part too? No? Okay, I'll tell you that afterwards.
No, all right. I mean, let's do it now. I mean, it's kind of out there. I mean, I can basically, I love it. I mean, it was fantastic because you tapped into that 5-year-old child because it was such a trauma. I mean, the first real event that I remember was I was actually severely hospitalized twice when I was young for pneumonia. So the first time I was I think I was 2, which I don't remember, but when I was 5, yes, that was 1. So I was hospitalized. So this is again the 70s. So the mental technology wasn't there. So what happened was I remember going into a fever, passing out, and then I woke up in a crib, but in an oxygen tent. So it was covered. So I couldn't get out. So I was trapped inside the actual.
That's traumatic. Yes.
Yeah. So it was traumatic. And then my parents weren't there in the room. So I was just by myself and trapped in this plastic bubble type thing. Okay. And I basically, I passed out from hyperventilating, panic. Yeah. Strictly panic. And then that incident too, as well. And then, you talked about the bullying. I was in a child's room. There was an older child in the room. Once I got out of the tent, he started bullying me too, as well. So then between the loss of not being there and that was one of the first traumatic events. And then a year later, my father died of cancer.
Oh,
Yeah.
mhm.
So I lost, so it was like one thing after another, after another. And then, you know, there was physical abuse too, as after he left too, as well. So there was all this trauma in that short period of time that really, that was there. It was pretty
Yeah,
awful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, and um, that is all, again, part, how do you want to share this? Yes, it was necessary, and we thank them for teaching us the consequences of those things, and also knowing that now we know us as light workers have these particular, we'll call them missions.
Yeah.
And what I'm realizing in more and more with my light workers is like these different constructs, like you're clearing like the bully construct, like just the injustice of these things, the abuse of these things, however they manifested or showed up. It goes to a deeper level of these corrupted codes that they should never have been in our hardware. We should never have
No.
been part of the program. And we're the ones through our inner child that is clearing those constructs from any narrative, from any loop, from any program, from any consciousness. And so I thank all aspects of you, and I thank all aspects of little Michael and big Michael for enduring that and surviving that, because we easily check out. I mean, we had to. I
Oh
mean,
my God. Yeah.
we disassociate all the time. I mean, that was necessary. And so just to be present in your body can be a challenge
Yeah.
because of those things. And so again, going back to like why so many people want to escape is because it's uncomfortable being in the human. And
Oh
so
my God. I did
this,
everything in possible ways to escape. Oh my gosh. Like,
oh
I mean,
yeah,
yeah. It
and
wasn't
most
until
light
like
workers do. Yeah.
sorry, what was this?
As the most light workers do, you know,
Yeah.
drugs,
We all,
alcohol, you
alcohol.
know,
Yeah.
whatever, all the above, like, because it's painful to be in the human. And we, you know, we're around the same age. Like we didn't have, you know, conversations about, oh, I'm an empath and this and that. Like kids like we didn't know.
I wish, you know, it wasn't
No,
until later. Like I thought there was something wrong with me. You
they
know,
tried to
that's,
medicate
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to medicate me because I was so sensitive, and yes, and I couldn't sleep because I was on edge that nobody was watching the house and who's going to protect us. And so like, who am I at, you know, 8 years old to stay up all night and then, you know, falling asleep at school because I had massive anxieties. And then they tried to medicate me and it was like, I couldn't function. So that didn't last but a couple days. And so I lived with that level of anxiety till I was about 36 years old. So about
Wow.
10 years ago, and I really got interrupted. Big divorce, multi-million-dollar lawsuits. And it's like, you're going to die or you're going to heal. Like there was no in between at that
Yeah.
point. But it
Yeah.
was necessary to get me on this path because my
The
ego was
wake up
so,
call. You know, it's so
oh, big,
funny. You were
yeah.
36 when you had your wake up call.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
just trying to think because
actually,
I'm just trying to think. I think I was 36 when I finally kind of got into therapy. When was it? 36? Let me just think for a second here. This happens when you get older. Your memory kind of goes. So,
I know.
or I could just say that because we're psychic, our memory goes all the time. But I think it was
Yeah,
36. Yeah, like it was basically the same thing. It's like I found out later through a friend who did a reading on me. He said this was my wake up call. So it was like,
yeah,
again, you know, I was at the wit's end of everything. You know,
yeah.
trying to get things together. And it was like, I lost my business. Well, obviously when you lose your business, at the time, I lost my girlfriend because there's no money in
Hmm.
the house. And then basically I was still battling alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. And I was just trying to, because the pain was so much, it was massive. And then I got hit by a drunk driver on our major highway. So imagine, you know, yeah. So I lost
Oh,
my
those are
car,
all big interruptions for sure.
everything. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I have nothing, like zero, nothing. Like, what am I going to do? Like, you know, and then it's like, I
Yeah,
went to this friend of mine at the time and he said, okay, this is your wake up call. You plan this, you got
yeah,
to start doing your work.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
thought to myself, what do you mean I'm doing my work?
Totally. I
What do
know.
you,
We don't want
what
to
do you,
hear this when we're going through it. We're
yeah.
like, what?
what are you talking about doing my work? I'm
Mhm.
like doing work. Like, I mean, and then it's like, okay, yeah, I started to get it. It wasn't until even years later. Like, I mean, I still struggled to fully embrace it. And it wasn't until like probably 40 maybe that I
Mhm.
really started to really, cause I was just fighting it. I was like, screw this shit, you know, and then, you know, it just, everything just kept coming up. Couldn't
Oh
deny it.
yeah,
It could come,
not
and
gonna
it's
go
like,
away.
ain't
No,
going
yeah.
away. No, ain't
Mm,
going
no.
away. No.
And that's why my wake up was so, I mean, similar in minus the car accident, but the impact nonetheless was
Yeah.
there, and it had to be devastating. It had to be devastating for us to surrender because our egos were hell bent on maintaining, the illusion, and that's all egos do
Yeah.
not want to give up the illusion of control, and there's no control, that, and
Yeah.
so we'll just continue to get hit by the by the invisible sledgehammer, whatever it
Right.
needs to be. And I say your inner child also participates at some level on that because they know us better than we know ourselves. So they're like, oh, this will bring him to his knees, or oh, this will wake her up. Like, we'll use
Yeah.
this. And so I say my first wake up was my first awakening was actually when my dad passed away as well, and I was in my 20s. So I was around 26, 27. 2000, so yeah, 26, yeah, because it was September 2000, because I remember it was almost the anniversary of my dad's passing on when the Twin Towers came down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it was a lot of things going on at that time, and I say that was my first wake up call, and I started in transformational work in 2001. Yes, was it 2001? Yes. And it was to deal with the anxiety and the pain of losing my dad. And I also had, being raised Catholic, Italian, Latin, I had these,
Oh my
you know,
God, the
oh
guilt.
yeah, all the guilt, all
Oh
these
my,
all
oh
these
my.
programs, totally, all these programs and belief, Michael, like I can't do numb out anymore. I can't be smoking and drinking and doing all this crap. My dad can see me wherever he was, right?
Yeah.
And so once I stopped numbing myself out, then I really had to feel all my pain, and not just the pain of losing my father, but everything that I had been suppressing, and that anxiety, and that was starting to debilitate me. So I was like, all right, what can I do? And I literally called it out, like, K, universe, God, whatever. Like, I
Mhm.
didn't even know. I was just so upset.
Yeah.
I was like, I need help. And I'm bawling. I don't even know how I got home because I couldn't see on the freeway. I was driving.
Mhm.
And I started transformational work that year. I think, was it 2000? No, it was 2001. Yeah, it was right after that. Um, and then I kind of got off course to fit into this, California lifestyle, wealthy husband. I was, very successful in high-end real estate and this and that. And for the ego, it's like, oh, we made it. Yay, we got it. And exactly.
Yeah.
And I was miserable. And I tell my clients, I said, I was killing it, but it was killing me. And like,
Yeah.
my soul was like, we cannot do this anymore. My inner child's like, that's enough. I'm going to blow this shit up. And she did, in a big, big way. And I was going through lawsuits, my business. I went through arbitrations on my business and a divorce lawsuit at the same time. Yeah.
Oh,
She was like, we're going to make sure you cannot go back. So that was another reason little Michael wanted me to also share that in conjunction with your story. Like, he participated in it, and he's like, we got to make sure he gets on his path, and we got to blow this up.
yeah. Like it's interesting enough. Like, I mean, it's, oh my God, it's like you are like in my head right now, but you are technically, because you're my inner child. So he knows everything. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it's like, so similar when you talk about the blow up, like, I mean, I just had one just not too long ago, cause I've been dabbling with my spirituality and doing my gifts. I've been just dabbling in it,
Yeah,
and
no,
I
he's
never,
like, he's gonna blow it up until you are full on, like, own your power, and
yeah.
he wants,
And
he wants that.
I struggled with it, doing my readings and doing everything else. And I was just like, "Ugh, this is not working. Like, I mean, I'm not making, how am I going to pay my bills for this? It's not happening. So I just, you know, kept trying to do the old corporate thing. The only way to get this is, you know, I got to work harder. I got to get a better job. And, you know, I thought,
No.
okay, this is what it's doing. And I still was struggling with this. And I just, oh, this is crazy. So last year again, it's 2000, yeah, 2019. Yeah. Again, it was another crazy thing. I had got this dream job, and, you know, I thought, oh, things are great. And I thought, man, I'm making money. I can pay my bills. I'm just so excited. And then all of a sudden, out of left field, boom, I'm gone. They dropped me like a hot potato. Like and I was just like, I was in so much shock. And then I was like, this is just, I can't believe this happened. And wasn't the first time this has happened.
Oh,
Anytime
shoot.
I got a corporate job or I did something like that, I'd always
Of
get
course.
mass fired. I would get
Yeah.
fired for no reason whatsoever. I couldn't figure it out. So this was like this continuous thing. And it's like, as you do this, I get more and more upset and more angry. And I was like, this sucks. Like, what the hell is going on? I'm doing my work, but it just kept happening to me. And then, you know, at the same time too, as well, it really made me like reflect again. And then I had another event just like 3 weeks later. My stepbrother took his own life. So I had a combination of that. So dealing with all those family issues come up to light. So it's just amazing when you talk about all the stuff just being researched, because I thought I dealt with it, but apparently I didn't. And then, you know, his passing, I had to go see his family again, and deal with all those issues, and again, talk about being fearful. Like, you know, live with his stepdad was a nightmare too as well. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's interesting. Like you talk about blowing up things. Like, it's now I kind of go, all right, is there anything
Yeah.
else?
Yes.
Is there anything
And
else?
honestly, that's why I say that the graceful way, go directly to, do not pass go, Michael. Go straight
Yeah.
to your inner child. Little Michael has all the answers. Like I said, he's never wrong. He'll never lie to you. You do not compromise him. You do not negotiate with him. You do not obligate him to meet other people's needs. And you do not let him hold these false beliefs any longer. That's true liberation. Anytime I tell my clients, anytime you feel fussy, moody, scared, anxious, depressed, bitchy, whatever it is, you stop immediately. You check in with your inner child. How can I serve you best? What is it that you need? I love you. I'm here. I know it seems confusing or scary. What is it? Because you're never upset with what you, most of the time I'll say,
Yeah.
you're not exactly upset with what you think you're upset with. There's a trigger that stems far deeper, and that's where you go to your inner child directly, and you can bypass all of that. Because my ego still, even after starting working with my inner child many years ago, my ego still thought, oh, I know better. I'm going to go back to my high-end real estate. I know how to make money. And she blew it up. She's like, I hate this. I don't want to do this. And you can keep I actually still have my license, but you refer these things out, and you only work with people that you absolutely love. And
Yeah.
that's it. No, this
I
is my
learned that
full-time,
lesson.
what I
Yeah.
full-time do. And it's also trusting the divine at a whole nother level, because once you trust your inner child trusts you. Then it is, divine will, please replace my will. So I have my clients use that mantra, and the divine
That's a
gave me
nice
that
one.
one. Yeah, the divine gave me that one years ago. And it actually is a brain entrainment. So you are really deprogramming and reprogramming yourself to be in divine alignment versus, do you want to know how often your ego thinks it's in control? I can ask.
Sure. Why not?
Michael, how often?
Why not? It's like, the doors are open now. Why go backwards? Like you said.
Yeah, little Michael's like, at the microphone. No, he's
Yeah, it's exactly. I'm just sitting back here, just drinking my hot water now.
yeah, that's right. He's like, okay, how often does he, is divine, okay, how often is Michael's ego parts own the illusion of control over divine will? More than 50? Really? No. No, he's in divine alignment more than 50%. Okay, more than 60, more than 70, more than 75, more than 80. Ego, 20, 25, 30, 23, 24, 25. So, okay, that's not bad. So I was around there when they gave me this quote or this mantra
Okay.
a few years back. So it was 25% of the time my ego still owned the illusion of control. 75% of the time you trust in the divine. Divine will is your will. So we want to get that to as close to 100, if not at 100.
Oh yeah.
So how long do you want him? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. They said 2 weeks straight. You're going to use this mantra as a broken record in the back of your head.
Let me just write that
Divine,
down.
yes. Divine will, please replace my will. Over and over. All day long, brushing your teeth, driving, meditating, everything. And then they said, and before 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, okay. So after that, then you'll be able to authentically say, divine will is my will. And when you feel that, talk about a buzz, you'll be high I was high for 5 days. I was like, wow, I don't have to make any real decisions. Divine will is my will. It's all taken care of. It really is. Like, just get out of the way. And
Yeah, I'm
that's,
gonna
I've
definitely.
seen a lot more. What was that?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's just, I wasn't really expecting homework, but,
Yeah.
I so appreciate that. It's interesting too. Like, you do enough work of this, and it's like, I have to say, our mutual friend, Dr. Lana Marconi, I
Yes.
must say
Thank
with her,
you.
yes, I love that woman. She's amazing.
I love her.
Yeah. So meeting her again, the synchronicity of events that happened in order for things to change in my life and certain things, and also a little bit for her, but it's like, she's always been the center, the epicenter of all these big kind of changes in my life. And recently, and it's just like, I kind of sat back, and it's like, she would say stuff like, oh, hey, I got these really cool friends. You got to meet this person. It's like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, okay, cool. All right. And so she connected us through
Yes.
Facebook and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is fantastic. A perfect guest for what I want. And then it's like, oh, I guess I'm part of this is all about being me healing and getting my stuff out there and being vulnerable. And
It's
it's like,
all
okay,
about us, Michael. Come
yeah,
on. There's nobody else
yeah,
here. Come
yeah.
on.
It was crazy. And then all of a sudden, like, and she got me, cause also right now I've been really passionate about it. I've been teaching actually intuitive diagnosis. So helping health practitioners, become, better at diagnosing their health issues.
Yeah.
So I've been working with a friend of hers who she just asked, it's like, hey, I got this friend. She's so interested. You got to call her. And so that got me on that path, and I absolutely love that. I could do that all day long.
Yes.
And it's like,
And wait till you start talking more to little Michael, because I can literally do the same thing and talk to the divine intelligence of your body, just like I talk to little Michael or any age of these inner children. And like one of my clients the other day, a lot of digestive pain and cramping. And I said, may I have permission to ask where that stemmed from? Because again, without exception, everything that goes on in the mental, emotional bodies goes on here. So if it hasn't been healed in the mental, emotional bodies or the energetic bodies, subtle bodies, it has nowhere else to go, Michael. It's going to manifest in the physical house. It's going to get your attention. But your inner child, again, can also participate in that. So I asked her permission. I talked to her body. I talked to her inner child. And it was her sibling getting too much attention, and she wanted the attention, and it wasn't given to her at that age. And her inner child, so once we talked to her inner child, she's like, oh my God, she's like, the cramping went down. She's like, I feel so much better, because I could see her inner child like this, holding on for dear life, like, because this is your emotional center, your stomach, gut. So
that's exactly what I'm going through right now.
How are you processing life? How are you digesting life?
Yeah.
It's all connected. There's no separation.
No, there's not. And it's just funny because it's like, yeah, this is meant to be to talk to you today, because it's like, yeah, I'm having all these issues in my, the first two centers, and it's just like, that's where all my wounds are. That's where everything is. And it's like, how poignant is
how long do you want to hold on to that shit, Michael? That's your digestive. Like,
literally.
I know. I can't make this up. Like, I just listen. That's it.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
You are precious. Thank you again for your willingness to share and open up and be vulnerable and be that reflection for everybody, because we are all reflections, and it's a universal conversation. It's everybody carries those wounds. It must not be me. It must be me. It must not be good enough.
Yeah.
Why are they successful? Why am I not successful? When I really gave myself over to the divine, they're like, all your needs will be taken care of. And I do kind of negotiate with the divine sometimes. I'm like, okay, you take care of my health, you take care of my, my wealth, you take care of my business, my home, whatever it is. and I'll take care of whatever you tell me. And I do. And I do some heavy lifting, especially when it came to clearing entities and demons and dark stuff that I didn't know existed, nor did I want to know existed.
Yeah, who
And
does?
no, I was
Yeah.
like, who signed me up for this? They're like, you did. I'm like, no. They're like, yes, you're going overseas. You're going to clear these dark ancient. I'm like, mm-mm. And so, yeah, I did a lot of their bidding. I said a lot of bidding for the divine, but in turn, they take care of me. And so if like trips to Europe, not cheap from California, I was like,
No,
look,
definitely not.
I'm not getting paid for this. Sure enough, they send 2 checks from old commissions that I had no idea were
Come on. I love that. I love
the
hearing those things.
same day. So when I say divine will is my will is also divine's will. So they take
Yeah.
it's all in exchange. So yes, you will be taken care of. So they're saying, please stop worrying that the only way to receive money is through your old 3D constructs, because those are dead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
not sorry. They're
Yeah,
like,
that's like
sorry, not sorry.
that's still my ego in the back of my brain kind of going, yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
They
I know.
said, but you
Yeah.
have to trust. Like I said, I
Yeah.
trusted. That's why they gave you the homework, Michael.
Yes,
No
ma'am.
mistake.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I will do my
Yes.
homework. Divine will
Because they're
replace
like, yeah,
my will.
please replace my will.
Please, okay, please replace my will. You may have to just text me just in case I get it wrong, because
I will.
yeah, I'll make sure of that. But yeah, that's fantastic. Well, my dear, we're almost out of time here. I probably could talk to you for hours.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
same. I love it, especially because we get to have these conversations with other like-minded soul family. And yes, you are part
Yes.
of my family. So thank you, brother. And
Well,
it's an honor, because a lot of and a lot of my life, the last 20 years, has really been this journey and unfolding, and it's really accelerated. And yet, a lot of it was spent alone, because
yeah.
I didn't have a group or a tribe. And like I said, even my partner, sometimes I'll share things and he just like looks like his brain's melting. Like,
Yeah.
please don't share that with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this too. And I know like
I
you're
love you,
doing,
dear, but yeah, that's a little too much for me today.
he's definitely, he's more earthy, he's more nature. He sees stuff and he hears stuff, but he'd rather not. So
Yeah.
I know, like, okay, we'll just share this much and we'll edit. And even when I share my videos or when I share channels, the divine will tell me the full message, and then they'll tell me what I can share or what I cannot share. Like, I couldn't even share that I was clearing dark entities and things last year. They're like, if you share that, that will transfer that energy to whoever you share it to. This is for their protection as well as yours. And it was super lonely. And I
Yeah.
mean, even though I was still doing inner child work, and that part's beautiful and great, I'd also get backlashes anytime I would activate somebody or
Oh my God.
do
Yes.
healing. Oh yeah, I'd get, you know what the
Oh
repercussions. I
my
was
God.
like,
Yes. Yeah.
oh, why am I doing this? And it's like, but this is our mission. So
Yeah.
yes.
That's one of the things I struggled with, is just all the backlashes. Like, why am I even doing this? Like, what's the purpose? Like, I'm supposed to help raise humanity's consciousness and heal people, and people
They
are
keep,
screaming and
yeah,
yelling at me. And it's like, this is just not worth it. Like,
yeah,
oh,
it does. Yeah, it does
yeah.
make us stronger. And I had to be initiated many times to by the divine to be able to clear. And they said, you cannot master the light if you can't master the dark. And I didn't really think they meant actual dark. I thought that it was going to be shadow work, which
Yeah.
I did once my inner child left. Then I was like, well, now who do I speak to? They're like, your master self, like your I am presence, and really integrate it, not just think of it as something outside of you. Like, they
Yeah. That's
pushed
it.
me they pushed me into my master self, because the human will fight for its limitations,
Yes,
Michael.
it will. It does. It does on a constant basis. It always reminds us with this lovely meat suit that we wear every day.
I love it. So cute.
Yeah.
So yes, I will text you your homework. Thank you again.
No, thank you. Now, I just got to just ask you. So for anybody who's listening to this and watching this, where can they find you? If they want to have some of this amazing work, please, please, please get in contact with this woman, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
tell us where we can find you.
So you can direct message me and Instagram, or like Michael, we connected through Facebook at rosanne.grace. And if you want to go directly to my website, it has some other videos as well. And that is rosannegrace.com. So it's pretty easy.
Okay. Very simple. I highly recommend this, guys, ladies, anybody who's listening to this. It's fantastic work. I'm not going to bullshit you. It's scary work, and but you know, it's well worth the reward. My dear, you've been an absolute pleasure. You're such a little earth angel. Your energy is like off the charts. Like, it's fantastic. Literally, I'm still buzzing. I'm gonna be buzzing for the rest of the day. So if that's any indication, if somebody wants to get in contact,
Thank you, Michael.
such a pleasure.
It's an honor.
Thank you, my dear. Take
so
care.
many blessings. Love you. Thank you.